This is my Bad Boy 4035H tractor. I've had it for about 13.5 months. I'm about to hit 400 hours on the dash, and I feel like I've got a decent enough opinion about it to actually talk about it. This is the 4035H. 40 is the series of tractor. It's a 40 series tractor. 35 is the horsepower. This is a 35 horsepower tractor with 29.5 PTO horsepower, and H is the transmission. It's a Hydrostat transmission. I've got the hood up because I want to show you something under here. Nothing bad. They make this 4035 in a cab model, which for stuff like, you know, just moving dirt around out here in the wide open or working on the driveway, sure, I would have loved to have a cab model with air conditioning. But as I'll show you with my experience with sticks and stuff, I probably would have lost part of the glass on the cab by now, or just I think I would have lost too much visibility for working in super tight spaces in and out of these trails. If I'm not mistaken, this tractor, I think I have this right, don't quote me on this, but this is technically a TYM tractor. That tag down there has the TYM brand. So TYM tractor that is sold to Bad Boy rebrands it and then builds their own loader. So the loader, if I'm not mistaken, is built, manufactured completely by Bad Boy, but the tractor itself comes from TYM. So when I was searching for a tractor, it was either this one or the Kubota equivalent, which I don't remember the model number off the top of my head. And the reason why I went with this one is the loader lift capacity. On the Kubota, it was 1,100 pounds, and this is 2,200 pounds. So I knew that I was going to be in and out of trails, picking up debris piles, moving trees around, picking up logs. I was going to be relying heavily on the loader arms, which pallet forks, moving stuff around, right? So I went with the tractor that had a much larger lifting capacity. My only concern was mainly fueled by relatives and friends that said, well, you know, Bad Boy doesn't really have a long name in the tractor world. Are you going to be able to get parts for this thing? And that was a legit concern until I figured out that this is essentially a Branson tractor which was purchased by TYM. So it's a TYM tractor now. So if Bad Boy doesn't have parts, well, TYM Branson would. It's essentially their tractor, which that hasn't been the case. I've had to replace a couple things and or one thing, and there was no problem getting parts for it. So that's why I went with this one. I have used this tractor a lot in tight spaces, sticks and debris. As a matter of fact, there's a stick right there still shoved in the frame right there that I got to get out. And that's more situational, in and out of these trails and over sticks and debris piles and that type of thing. And you try to be careful, you really do, right? I'm not out there trying to abuse and trying to tear stuff up, but if I had one complaint about this tractor, it's probably situational. The way I use it on this property is I would like some type of underbody armor, some type of underbody protection on this tractor. The majority of people probably won't need that, but based upon my experience, I could have really benefited from it. So let me tell you all the stuff that I tore up on the bottom of this tractor. You see that filter right there? That's one of the hydraulic filters. You can't tell, but it's bent off on an angle because something got stuck under there and wedged and bent that. Just the other day, I don't know if I'm going to record the footage or not, or include the footage or not, but I whacked into something on this piece right here, this steel hose, and busted this fitting loose, so I was spraying fluid all over the place when I was using my loader. This is the throttle linkage for the pedals, which this actually needs to be up all the way. Let me go ahead and fix that while I see it. This little boot, protect the cable end right there. Okay, so this is your throttle cable. Well, this entire bracket got bent off to the side that way, so my throttle cable didn't work with my pedals for a while. It kinked the line, and then the spring, of course, while it was bent, released all the tension on there, so the pedals would stick, essentially not returning to the neutral position. All because of sticks. And what else? There is, let's see, can we see it from here? Yeah, we kind of can see it from here. All right, so there is this metal hose right here that my finger is touching, the black one, there is a rubber boot right there, rubber coupling with a clamp on one side, a clamp on another side. Well, that is the suction side of the auxiliary pump for the hydraulics. So this, is there a filter? Yeah, it connects into, let me see, it connects into a filter over there on the other side, and that pulls fluid, hydraulic fluid, from the reservoir underneath the seat. Pulls fluid and goes into the pump. So the pump is sucking the fluid in. A stick blew off one of the sides of that coupling and sucked air into the system, and air inside your hydraulic system causes your loader to bump around. It doesn't go up smoothly, doesn't go down smoothly. It's makes all kinds of racket and all kinds of craziness. I thought I tore up something really bad, but it ended up being just a bunch of air in the line. And due to contamination concerns, I went ahead and changed all the hydraulic fluid based upon a recommendation from a diesel tech family member, and that sucked because all that hydraulic fluid had like 10 hours on it, something like that. So I did that. What else have I tore up over under here? I don't know if it was my fault or not, but I blew the seal on the inside of the power steering, causing fluid, let me get back up, causing fluid to come out of this, I don't remember what side it was on, but come out of this fitting right here. So this is your supply line for the power steering hydraulics, and this is one of those two-way fittings. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a lock nut on here. So you back off the lock nut, and then you rotate this into place, and then you position it in the angle in which you want it to be. It doesn't have to bottom out the threads, right? You position the angle that you want, and then you lock it into place with this nut on the outside. So it started spraying hydraulic fluid from right here, and I thought, okay, well, that's probably just an O-ring that went bad for some reason. I have no idea why. So I disconnected all this and started to remove this fitting, and realized that there's some interference with this front axle, and I thought, well, that's just horribly designed. You can't even work on this. What in the world is going on? I can't replace that O-ring. Well, I ended up wiggling it around a little bit and maybe bending a little bit to get it to actually turn all the way off. I removed it. Yeah, there's an O-ring in there, but it looks fine. I'll put a new one in there anyway. Put a new O-ring in, reassembled this, put it all back together, and I was using a piece of like soda bottle, like a little thin piece of plastic, to put in between this and the fitting right here as I turned it, so it was kind of less friction and slide easier, so it wouldn't tear this up. Well, I did all that and it was still leaking. Then I contacted Bad Boy and I was like, what is this part that I need to replace? Maybe I've got a crack inside here. And they said, no, that's not replaceable. You have to replace the entire power steering. And I thought, well, that's crazy just for an O-ring. So we did a warranty repair replacing the entire power steering, but it wasn't, the problem wasn't the O-ring. The problem was I blew an internal seal, causing too much back pressure, which came out of this fitting. So it wasn't this to begin with. And yeah, these are not replaceable. You got to replace the entire power steering unit. So this is on a factory warranted power steering assembly. So I tore that up. I think I did. I mean, I don't know what I did to destroy the power steering, but it's probably my fault, right? You see the bumper is bent up right here, and I've got a piece of the grill just chilling down right here. So a lot of people complain online that the grill is just so flimsy and delicate, and you look at it the wrong way, you're going to break it. Well, it's just this plastic honeycomb that's very delicate. And I guess I hit a stick or something, because one day I noticed that there was a hole. Where is it at? There was a hole right there in the grill, and there it is. So I'm not too worried about that. I honestly don't really care. The radiator's far enough back to where it doesn't damage the radiator, and that's just unfortunately the cost of doing business, right? I bumped into a root ball as I was rolling them out. On this property we have a bunch of trees that we took down, big old root balls, and I'm using the loader to roll them. Well, one of them rolled and then rolled back and slammed into the bumper, bent the bumper into the grill. I had to hook a chain to the bumper, hook a chain to a tree, back up just slightly to straighten it out so I could even open up my hood. That's a me thing, not of course a tractor thing, you know. What else have I done on here to tear stuff up? I tore up the one of the curl cylinders, knowing that you're not supposed to be doing much back dragging with this cylinder fully extended, which I wasn't doing. So when this cylinder is fully extended like this is kind of weak, right? So in this orientation, if you have a clockwise rotational force on the pivot right there, it's going to want to compress that cylinder and sometimes bend the ram itself, right? That's exactly what happened. And that most commonly happens when you're back dragging. You got the bucket of the tractor down and you're back dragging, you're pulling back. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna back drag. Again, I'm moving these root balls, which honestly are too big for this tractor, but I'm rolling them with my grapple. I've got the grapple, let's use this hand. Got the grapple opened up, and I'm using the top and bottom jaws of the grapple to roll these root balls. And I rolled, and then something happened, and I slipped and slammed down on the top of the root ball. If I slam down, well, that's going to put a force backwards or clockwise in this orientation onto those cylinders, and that's how I bent one of them. That's still the factory cylinder. I found somebody local to straighten out the ram for about $100 or so, something like that. It's not perfect, but it works. That was my fault. I did have the overheat warning come on one time. I was doing some rotary cutter work, some bush hog work on the trails, cleaning up some new stuff during our drought. We have a really dusty drought once a year here in Mississippi, and it clogged up this screen that goes in front of the radiator. So you pop the hood, pull the screen out, knock all the dust out while you're on the trail. I have this out because I have to do that right now. See how dirty that is? I knocked all this out the best I could on the trail, put it back in place, and the overheating warning went away. The gauge didn't go crazy, just the warning came on. So this slides into here. We got some thunderstorms coming, so the dogs may go crazy. They don't like thunder. So anyway, this slides into here and protects your radiator, and it's held in place with one of these like automotive expansion fasteners. Pretty nice little setup. So there's that. You got to be mindful of clogging up your radiator. That's with just any tractor though. What else to talk about the tractor itself? The 7-gallon fuel tank. I initially thought, man, 7 gallons, that's it? That kind of sucks. I'd rather have like a 15 or a 20-gallon tank, right? Well, it's not that bad. I initially thought it was horrible, but at 2,000 RPMs, you can probably, it's about 1 gallon per hour, so you get about 7 hours of work use on one full tank. That's about a day's worth of working, a full day's worth of working. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal than what it is, but just fill it up before you use it. Not the end of the world. This button right here is not factory. This is for my lights. So I have a set of LEDs up here on the ROPS, rollover protection system, a light bar, and then 2 pod lights, one right there pointing back. And if you watch that video, I forgot to include where I actually put the button, the switch. I just drilled a hole and stuck it in the side. In the video, I said I was going to put it up here. You can pop this cover off and it's a perfect spot for a switch. However, you see this bulge in the plastic all the way around it? It increases the engagement thickness for the switch, and that thickness was too much for the tabs that were on this particular switch. So I couldn't put this right here as I wanted. Just drilled a hole, popped it right there. That's fine. It's out of the way. You have to be very intentional to turn this switch on. That's fine. Standard tractor stuff. You have your headlights and blinkers. Here on the property, I don't use the blinkers, obviously. And the headlights, to be honest with you, they suck. They're not good. And that's more of a tractor with a loader situation. The headlights are up there. Well, they're right there, right? The headlights are right there, but so is the loader and so is the front bumper. So, I mean, if you're out in the middle of the woods and you're working too late and you got to get back home, they're good enough to get home, but they're not really good enough to do any meaningful work. They're really not. That's why I put those up there. And that's more of a tractor with a loader situation than it is just this particular model. They're all like that, right? Let's see, everything that I've put on the back side of this tractor. One thing that I do want is a hydraulic top link, but I don't have rear remotes at all, so I'd like to upgrade in the future for that. 29.5 PTO horsepower, like I said. I've used this for the Woodland Mills WG24 stump grinder. Really fantastic attachment, I might add. I really like that stump grinder. I've used it for their what is it, WC68. Don't quote me on the model number on that. I'll correct myself on the screen if I'm wrong. But their wood chipper, the Woodland Mills wood chipper, fantastic implement, I might add. This is a quick hitch. It's a Spico quick hitch that I got from another YouTube channel. I got the recommendation from another YouTube channel, Good Works Tractor. So check them out if you're interested in any videos on tractor implements and such. I believe he's a tractor dealer, and of course makes good quality videos for the stuff that he sells, which I appreciate. The quick hitch is compatible with both of the Woodland Mills items that I've already said. It's compatible with this box blade. This is a bad boy 5-foot box blade with 4 rippers. I've used this so much. Having a box blade is just, I mean, it's almost essential if you got a tractor. I've used the bad boy 6-foot rear grader blade, which I also really like. And I've also used this with a borrowed 5-foot, it's an old Grizzly rotary cutter, and does just fine with a 5-foot rotary cutter. Trying to think of everything that I've put on the back of this thing. I had a borrowed box blade for a while before I got mine. If I'm forgetting something, I'll put it on the screen, or at least show some footage. I've recorded basically everything that I've done with this tractor. Let's see, I put a lot of stuff on the back side of this tractor. I don't have any like toolboxes or anything, but there's a lot of places to hide stuff, right? So these chainsaw scrunches, I've planted a few in my day, so I keep 2 right here. Some extra clips. What else? I was hanging some wrenches right here, but the noise just drove me bonkers. So this is your top link holder, and some adjustable wrenches will hang right there just fine, and they'll stay there. They won't really fall off. But the noise of it constantly rattling was just driving me bonkers. Some magnets, put some magnets everywhere. You never know when you're going to need to throw something onto a magnet. And a Harbor Freight cup holder with a some Velcro strap. I have a can of white lithium grease that I keep right here to help keep the skid steer quick attach locking arms on the front. Keep those nice and greased up, and it's really easy to use. I've seen some people put a pipe, a cheater pipe, inside the loader cavity to use on the skid steer quick attach arms, and I'm thinking if you need a cheater pipe because it's so hard, just spray some lubricant on it so everything slides easy. And I haven't had any issues with that. Of course, some bungees for mostly for attaching trash to this thing while I'm out in the woods. I find some trash, bungee it to the tractor somewhere so I can get rid of it when I get back home. These are the 2 lights that point backwards when I turn the auxiliary lights on. I took the little triangle off. This thing doesn't get on the road at all. It was just blocking my visibility. Just like getting sticks underneath the side and tearing up some stuff right there. I got sticks all over the place. Yesterday when I was out here, I noticed that the protective cover for the 3-point is bent forward quite a bit because it's supposed to be touching this, and I can stick my whole hand back here. So there's something else that's bent. Yay. The drawbar, I spray painted orange because I've planted that in the property a few times and it took me quite a while to find it. Spray painted orange. And I had to reverse the pin. So the factory pin has the clip on the bottom, which just reverse it so the pin is up, or the clip is up, and it won't fall out now. So there's that. What else? Oh, the loader. Okay, so I've used a few different attachments on the front of the loader. This is a set of pallet forks, Ironcraft brand, which I think used to be Titan Attachments until there was discrepancy with 2 Titan attachment companies. I don't know. Something was going on, so they rebranded to Ironcraft. But I got that set of pallet forks and the bucket when I bought the tractor. So I've had those the longest. I mean, what do you say? They're pallet forks. They do a pretty good job. What else do I have on the front of this thing? The grapple. I have a Kioti grapple that I love. It's a beefy grapple. I've ran into all kinds of stuff with it. I've used it to, you know, hold onto a log and curl my way unstuck. You know, I've used it like a backhoe to unstuck yourself. The grapple is a root rake grapple, so you can put the back jaw, the bottom jaw, almost vertical, have it opened up all the way, and then the front jaw is about 6 inches or so off the ground, and just drive forward to rake the dirt of any vegetation. It is awesome. I love that grapple. That grapple is a Chinese privet destroyer. I love it. So the reason why I got it is when I went to purchase my WR Long third function kit and WR Long grapple, I believe it was $2,600 for the grapple, and when it arrived, I noticed the Kioti sitting on the lot, and the gentleman said, well, if you want this one for the same price as the other, the WR Long, you can have this one for the same price. And I did a quick search online, and it retailed for like $800, $900 more. I started doing some side-by-side, you know, just looking at it in measurements, and it's thicker steel. So I went with the Kioti instead of the WR Long. I got it for $2,600, I think. So very, very happy with the grapple. On the factory bucket, I put a Piranha Bar on it. Really recommend the Piranha Bar. You can dig so much easier with it, and you can also like spear and uproot small saplings, which is nice. So if you don't have a grapple, you can still use that to get rid of some small saplings and whatnot, get rid of some trees. So the third function is required to operate the grapple, right? So what does the third function actually do? It taps into your hydraulics for the loader, and you change out your handle here to get 2 buttons, right? I don't know if you can see that, but there's 2 buttons here. And depending on the way you have it set up, well, one of them is going to open, one of them is going to close. So that is, the third function is this right here. It ties into your hydraulics on your loader, and then gives you 2 more hoses that come out of the third function. These 2 hoses are auxiliary hoses that go up to, let me start over. The hoses come off the loader joystick area, come through here, and then they go to this bracket right here. The 2 left side attachments is your third function. The one on the right is the continuous flow for the third function, which is another kit. So you plug in the grapple here and here, and then that's fine for stuff that's just activated, right? Open and then close, open and then close. Well, this piece right here is the continuous flow upgrade, and there's a computer chip that needs to be changed right here, and this continuous flow goes to a different port up there, and the continuous flow is for something like the LS3 from Lane Shark. I have a LS3 rotary cutter from Lane Shark. It's an articulating rotary cutter up front, so you can use the rotary cutter in front, you can use it in the side, you can use it at different angles. You could also use it vertically as intended to be used. The main function of the Lane Shark is to cut the side of your lanes, your shooting lanes for hunting areas or trails. Fantastic implement for this particular property, big time anyway. But that required the continuous flow upgrade to the third function. So I installed the continuous flow. I paid for the third function to be installed, and when the third function was installed and it came back to me, I thought, man, why did I pay to have somebody else install this thing? It was just super easy looking of an install. The problem was, at that time, my shop was not built, my tools were still in and out of storage, and I didn't really have a good place to work on it, so I did pay for that. But when it came time for the continuous flow upgrade, I did that myself. Really easy. So yeah, the front, I've used the grapple the most, followed by probably the bucket, then the pallet forks, and then the LS3 Lane Shark the least, obviously because it's a seasonal type of a thing. Just clean up the trails as necessary. But this loader has not let me down. It's been a fantastic loader, and the capacity of actually lifting stuff with this tractor has also been fantastic. I forgot to mention one more thing that I did to the bottom of this thing on accident, a little bit of damage that again, it's situational. I'm in the woods, there's sticks everywhere, I'm trying to clear trees and cut trails, and it is situational. One time I was halfway across the property working on the trails, and I smell something, smells like diesel fuel. What in the world? And then as I'm going backwards, I look down and oh my goodness, there is a pile of diesel fuel. So I jumped down real fast. At that point, the engine RPM started to slowly go down. Oh, I turned the ignition off, and I'm just spraying diesel fuel everywhere. The rubber hose that goes from the bottom of the fuel tank to the fuel pump, it just got ripped off the bottom of the fuel tank, so it's just spraying fuel everywhere. And I'm like, oh crap. Luckily, I had a multi-tool in my pocket, and was able to use those wrenches to open up, or pliers to open up the clamp on the rubber hose and reinstall the rubber hose to the back or bottom of the fuel tank. So that's another thing that I've messed up on the bottom of the tractor. I wish there was some type of, even if it's just aftermarket, or maybe I have to make something myself, I wish there was some type of underbody armor for this particular tractor. Maybe I'll come up with something, I don't know. But I think I've said everything that I can say about this tractor. I purchased it in middle of March 2024. Really didn't use it until April of 2024 though. And it is May of 2025. So about 13 and a half months that I've had use on this tractor. 400 hours is about to be rolled over on the dash. It's been a good tractor to me. I've worked it hard, and I would buy it again if I had to. I bought this. This is not a brand deal or anything. I purchased this, and I'm happy with it. I'm very, very happy with my purchase.
In the shadows, or the bound to take your life. But if you mind to ramble still, I tell you how to do. Keep your money in your pocket, boy, and the razor in your shoe.